welcome back to CN7 Sports Media. I am your host and CEO of this amazing company. Now, we've actually made it to a wonderful, beautiful landmark in this company's journey. Now, not a lot of podcasts make it to episode 5. Not a lot of podcasts make it past episode 5. But lo and behold, look who made it to episode 5. We did. We did. And this is so freaking special. It means the world to me. And you know what else means the world to me? My crew, even though we're not fully complete. Without further ado, my best friend and childhood best friend, my first friend I ever made when I moved to New Mexico, Caleb.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 5. Ready to get to it. We have a lot of topics to talk about. Thanks for tuning in.
And the social media goat, the goat of alls, the goat of socials, the goat of TikTok, the goat of Instagram, the goat of clips, makes all the clippers look like freaking chimps. Tomas!
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm ready for episode 5. Ready to get some more clips posted out for y'all this weekend, too, this week.
And the GOAT, our media coordinator for the day, because his brother is out for today, but he's put together a wonderful, wonderful presentation today. He has put it together one of the best slideshows in human history. Lucas!
What is up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. We got a great one today, a bunch of stats, and we're excited.
Now, without further ado, let's go over a quick overview of today's topic. So we got a little bit of college off season, a little bit of controversies going on with college. Then we got more pre-combine, a lot been going on, a lot that Caleb and Tomas have been cooking up in the lab lately. Next thing, Caleb is going to take us through an NFL quickfire, some more trade talks, some more rumors, and some potential pickups. Thirdly, Lucas is gonna lead us in college basketball. Yes, a new segment, because we don't shy away from segments. We don't shy away from sports. That's what makes us beautiful. Lastly, as always, we will cap the episode off with Formula One, because we always have a lot to talk about with Formula One, especially the controversies. Now, let's get this thing going. First and foremost, a new headline came out this week, boys. 2 Georgia linebackers, freshmen, by the way, were arrested in Athens for reckless driving. They were going 100 and my bad. Oh my gosh. I can cut it out. It's fine. Quick shout out to USA Olympics, coming second place overall, absolutely kicking ass in the Olympics, especially Canada's ass. That's right. We're the better country. No offense, but we are. Look at that. Look at that. Shout out USA Olympics, man. Shout out USA Olympics. I know Lucas caught almost every event. I missed like every event, but it's okay because USA, man, greatest country in the freaking world. Now, without further ado, let's move on. 2 Georgia linebackers this week. New headline. Freshmen, by the way, were arrested for reckless driving 105 and a 65 in Athens, the hometown of the Bulldogs. Crazy thing about that is there's a stigma, and Lucas has an entire roster right there ready to go of Georgia athletes within the past 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, of Georgia athletes within the past 3 years, which is absolutely abysmal, man. Now, boys, what is it with Georgia and their athletes, man? Is why do you think they're constantly getting arrested? Do you think there's too much privilege with these new athletes, especially these freshmen coming in, or it's more so just self-discipline? What do y'all think going on?
Oh, man. Looking at this chart is crazy, dude. Look at all the charges of reckless driving, speeding, DWIs. Maybe Kirby Smart has a thing of recruiting guys that don't attend driving education.
Oh, yeah, man. It's honestly crazy that you could basically fill out a roster besides quarterback. No team should realistically be able to do this, but maybe just giving youngsters fast cars. It could be that. It could be I don't know how the laws up there in Georgia are with speeding, but maybe the cops are a lot of strict. I mean, it is a big city, so there's a lot of cops there. So maybe just wrong place, wrong time. That's really all I got to say.
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely has to go into having the fast cars 100%. If you have if you got a nice old Volkswagen, you're not going 100 plus miles down the street. So I think definitely money and buying all these cars, and definitely something with the coaching staff, man, just not handling business there and making sure these kids stay disciplined. So yes, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, honestly, like this could be taken as very serious, but at the same time, I just think it's absolutely hilarious, like kind of what Tomas said, how you can fill almost an entire freaking offensive freaking scheme besides the quarterback with just Georgia players. Like it is so abysmal because you don't see this happening anywhere else besides Georgia. And Georgia has been known to be one of the most prestigious, types of football programs, especially led by Kirby Smart. But, we've been talking about NIL a lot recently. And, my thing is there's a potential chance that maybe when you give these, 18-year-olds this NIL money, they go out and buy themselves a fast car that they've never had before. There's a potential chance for this happening too. DUIs, that's another thing, man. Like fresh out of high school, you're a football star. You want to go to parties, you want to go drink, you're away from your mom and dad. Like it almost feels like Georgia doesn't have guidance programs for their athletes. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I agree. So it just relates me to a situation a little while back. I don't know if you guys seen this. It was an offensive lineman for Georgia that was involved in a high-speed pursuit with his mother. He was charged with a felony, and I believe so was the mom. And in this case, with the two young guys, the linebackers, they got charged with misdemeanors. So what's going to happen is unclear right now. Pretty sure Kirby Smart will figure out something. I don't think they'll be released from the program, but maybe we're looking at a suspension or something like that. But see what happens.
Yeah, man. I think honestly they like every single Georgia player just needs like a personal driver at this point, bro, because it is getting a little too much out of hand to be, just like I said, able to do this, make a whole offense and defensive rosters, and absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just I mean, don't get me wrong. It's nice having the freedom. It's nice, like we said, having the money and wanting to go to parties and impress your friends and everything. But yeah, I mean, like we've all put it back to the fact that there's this many people on the list and not a quarterback. It's just very questionable as to, is this like a thing? Is this like do you have to get a speeding ticket in order to be like a starter or get some type of popularity on the team? Or it's absurd, man. And hopefully they can get it fixed on there, because it's not even just for the player safety, but just the citizens there as well. You just want to make sure everybody's safe. And we've seen plenty occasions where athletes are driving in these $1 million cars going 100 plus miles over the speed limit, and running into someone and just causing lives to be taken. And we don't want that for anyone. So hopefully something can get figured out and keep everyone safe.
And the sad truth is, though, like as you keep looking at this, you see speeding, high speed pursuit, DUI, racing, speeding. One of them, their freaking center on the roster, on the offensive scheme here, has 13 charges. The sad thing is for this, though, is like, look at all this wasted talent, man. You got the opportunity to play at the University of Georgia under Kirby Smart, a program that's been fighting back and forth with Alabama for national championships since Kirby got there, man. And these kids got the opportunity of a lifetime to come play at Georgia. Think about how many kids would have killed to be in their spot coming out of high school, would have killed to come from like an FCS school and come play over here. And instead, these kids, they take advantage of that opportunity and they just waste it. Like, you could have gone to the league. You could have done so much better for yourself. And it's, like I said, it's just really sad to see.
Yeah, so like you said, the chances of going to the league with something like this, dude, it's almost out the window. The NFL does not play games. You see all the time when NFL players mess up and they make mistakes like this, you're looking at a suspension, or even in crazy cases, a team, you'll straight up get cut. And in a case like this scenario, if a kid was about to hit the draft and all that, and let's say he was a first rounder and he gets in trouble like this, that's going to kill your draft stock. Yeah, maybe if you're that good, you can still get drafted in the third round if you're lucky. But these NFL teams, they don't play like that, dude. It's a professional organization, and playing around like this gets you kicked off a team.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at most of these players are not really known that much, of course, besides, of course, Jalen Carter and Christian Miller are both right there. Christian Miller is a good player in this draft this year, and I think that's what, Trevor Etienne. All these other guys are trying to look now. I don't really recognize any of their names. It's probably for a good reason. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like something about this just seems off to me. Like Lucas said, bro. Like do you have to get a ticket to like be a starter to is it like a an initiation type thing?
Yeah, man, it's kind of funny. I actually want to bring something to the table. As a matter of fact, my girlfriend actually had a interview with the professor the other day, a psychologist, and he said that he actually like evaluates players going into the NFL, like for teams to see like, hey, is this kid good? And like, is he like mentally all there to go? So you see this on it. You got professors or just psychologists examining you, and that's just a whole other side. I'm sure we can scrape the surface on. So to see stuff like this, and now to get a perspective of that is like, hey, like there's more than just, oh, you're good, let's sign you, you're on a team. Like, no, you have to do, like, there's people that go through evaluation. So when you see stuff like this, 13, 13, was it DUIs? Is that what it was? There are 13 charges. Like, no team's gonna, it's not safe for the organization. No one's gonna want to support a team that, that wants guys like that to play. So it's scary. It's scary to see this many names, especially just for one team.
Speaking of scary, but a good scary, our boy Fernando Mendoza. We already know. Goat Doza. Adam Schefter came out with a report this week saying that he was not going to participate in the combine. Now, in the sports world, in our world, there's a lot of stuff going on that, there's a lot of controversy, like why is Fernando not participating? He should participate. He shouldn't be special. But, we look at it, or at least I look at it as like, dude, all you had to do was watch the Natty. That's all you need to know. Not even just the Natty. You just had to look back on this past season. That's enough film. That's enough. What do y'all think?
I agree, man. If I was in Fernando Mendoza's shoes, why would I throw at the combine? This dude has achieved absolutely everything. I mean, you look at his accolades alone: first team All American, Heisman winner, national championship winner, first team All Big Ten. This dude is amazing. He did come out and said the reason why he didn't want to throw at the combine was to give more attention to his Indiana wide receivers. But you might as well give this dude a Raiders jersey right now. The Raiders are getting his locker ready. They're putting his name tag in the locker room already. Mendoza's hanged up. They're already giving him his number. This dude, we know he's going number one. No reason for him to go out there and throw and prove anything to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's like kind of a newer concept. Well, not really that new, but first off, our quarterbacks don't really throw. I mean, I know back in the day, Matthew Stafford, he didn't throw at the combine. Yeah, really, like there's really no point to throw, and if he does have a bad throw, then it can only make it bad. I mean, he has all the film in the world to this last season to prove that he could throw. Why go and throw without pads on and just put the ball where it's supposed to be? There's really no reason for that. I think he should just focus more on his interview and talking to coaches and all that good stuff than just throwing a football.
Yeah, I'm on the fence a little bit. In all honesty, I agree with all of y'all. About he has every single thing on his record to just go straight to the NFL, and but at the same time too, I think you got to go out there and just still show. You know what I mean? You just, I mean, I know, like I said, I know there's a bunch. I know there's more cons than there are pros to him going. You know what I mean? You can have horrible receivers you're throwing the ball to. You can, like you said, not throwing with pads on. He could mess up an arm there at the combine. Like, I know there's a bunch, but I just think it's, you just still like, because even if you do mess up, it just gives something that, okay, hey, if this is one thing that we need to really work on, and even he can notice it, and not that he's nervous or nothing. The guy played on the biggest stage of his career so far, but I think I'm on the fence. But if I did lean towards, I would agree with you guys. I don't think he needs to, but I just think it wouldn't hurt to also just put him more ahead of the rest of the competition.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. Like, I see where you're coming from, Luke. Like, it's almost. I'm not saying it's privilege because Fernando's done more than enough. He brought an Indiana team like we've been discussing for weeks now that nobody knew about coming into the year unless you really, really like paid attention to Indiana football, which nobody really did. Not even their own students did. And he turned that whole thing around with Kurt Signetti and a team that only had five stars on their whole roster or something like that, and they won the Natty. They defied all odds. But at the same time, if he can do that with a team that nobody really knew, I wouldn't really see the risk in terms of him getting quote unquote bad receivers because Fernando has that capability of being stupidly accurate. Like we've seen his numbers, we've seen his stats over the year about his accuracy in terms of the man can throw it to a baby and he lay it perfectly in the chest. You know what I'm saying? So um that's just one of the things. Also, speaking of combine as a whole, our boys over here, we got the schedule already pulled up in terms of what we're gonna do. But I'm gonna give the floor to Caleb and Tomas to kind of give us a rundown of what's going on with the combine that we have coming up.
Awesome. So me and Tomas will kick off with quarterbacks first, and we'll go one and we'll do our five, and I'll let him list his five, and then we'll swap back. So up here is Tomas's top five quarterbacks. He's got Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, Carson Beck, Cade Klubnik, and number five, Garrett Nussmeier. That's exactly the same top five that I have in my list. You can Fernando Mendoza, we just talked about him. That's easily number one. That's no explanation. Ty Simpson, number two. I like it. But I think you can make a good argument that Carson Beck is a number two quarterback in this class. Regardless, he is old, but you compare the stats, Carson Beck looks like a better quarterback. He's a better accurate passer, had more yards in the season, had more touchdowns. Cade Klubnik, I think this dude can be real good. He was lights out last year, had a downfall. And I just think that if he gets put in the right system, he can definitely do great things. Maybe see, of course, he's going to sit back in his rookie year and develop, but I can see him turning into something great later on. Garrett Nussmeier is an outstanding quarterback as well. Same exact story, pretty much. An outstanding year last year, fell off this year and had some injuries. And I like this list a lot for quarterbacks. So I'll hand the floor to Tomas.
Yeah, man. The fact that we have the exact same quarterbacks, great minds think alike. Fernando, I'm literally don't have to say much there. Everyone just gonna, he's the best quarterback on this board. I think, yeah, Ty Simpson is the best quarterback. I think it's just, his accuracy's there. It's just those games where he gave up. Kind of gave up in. Can't really blame him. You can blame the coaching too, but that's a little red flag. It's kind of like an if factor. Like if Ty Simpson's down in the NFL, the coaches aren't giving up on him, and he better not give up on his team either. And Carson Beck, it's just age. Carson Beck's a talented passer, just was in college for way too long. He has a 70% career completion rate, and that's just outstanding for him. Cade Klubnik, for him, most of the tape I have on him, just his touchdowns. He has 36 touchdowns through on his 2024 tape. That was last year. He might have been a first-round quarterback last year. He did pretty bad this year in stats and season-wise, but You can tell his talent is there. And for Gunner, I mean, he just was a gunslinger at LSU, and of course he's just battling injury, so that's what kind of knocked him down as well.
Where do you think Carson will land? Especially like there's a saying, there's always been this saying like you're only as good as your last game. The man's old compared to the incoming quarterbacks that are already coming in. You know, like that last game was an embarrassing end. To their season. But where do you think Carson will land in terms of the draft? Because I know like right here it kind of simplifies it in the presentation. But me personally, I see him going like third or fourth. What do y'all think?
With me, what I think about uh, Carson Beck, he's got a lot of experience. I think with him, I see kind of the exact same situation that we saw last year with Tyler Shaw when you just heard his name get called in the second round, and everybody was like, "Oh crap," like "Oh crap," and especially because Tyler Shaw got selected over Shedeur Sanders, so that blew everyone's mind too. But I could see, man, it's gonna play off of how the first round goes. I think Ty Simpson. I'm gonna jump to Ty Simpson real quick. I think Ty Simpson, if he performs well at the combine, he can be selected at 16th overall in the first round by the New York Jets. And then I think from there we'll start seeing doors open for Carson Beck. That'll kind of open the doors, for Pittsburgh, possibly the Rams, possibly. I know they've been looking into Ty Simpson. They're kind of already showing that they're ready to find the quarterback to replace Matthew Stafford next year. And that's the thing that would suck, though. Imagine getting Carson Beck. I'd have to have Lucas pull up how old that dude is right now, but I know Carson Beck is older, and you playing behind Matthew Stafford, you are wasting another year of your life, your career. So that'd be coming into play. Man, dude, I think it's just everywhere with Carson Beck. But I think I can see the dude jump into a day two pick, second round, early third round. But I wouldn't be surprised if he can jump up there into the second round. Tomas.
Yeah, I think Carson Beck is, like I said, a talented quarterback, high completion percentage. But I do see a big gap because I mean a lot of teams aren't going to really look his way to change up the franchise. I'm pretty sure just kind of a backup, sit back a year, try to develop him. You know he's old already, but I would I would say like if I had to pick a team, I'd say like he wouldn't be that bad on the Colts, like a backup for the Colts. Just to just in case Daniel Jones's injury does get hurt again, they could actually have a backup this time and not bring in a 45-year-old Philip Rivers.
Hey, Philip had a good 2 games. All right, like the man balls out. The man balled out. Talk to me, boys, about what's going on with the wide receivers, man. I like this looks like a really, really, really good wide receiver class. You got Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, Casey Concepcion. Like y'all's top five. I mean, I know this is Tomas, but this is a really good quarter or wide receiver class so far. And we do have some sleepers that are not in the top five, but shoot, we never know. Because as the NFL draft is known, as for like if you end up getting picked high, sometimes you never perform at the pick you're at. We got guys in third, fourth, fifth round, absolutely killing it in the league. Now, perfect example was Mike Evans. Do y'all remember what round Mike Evans got drafted? Like, and look at the amazing career he's had so far. So, or even Adam Thielen with the Vikings when he was with the Vikings, the dude went undrafted and did amazing with the Vikings. So, but nonetheless, talk me through these wide receivers. What we got going on?
Man, so me and Tomas's list is where we mix up a little bit right here. It's all like the same names, just different placements. So Tomas has got Jordan Tyson at number one. I do like Jordan Tyson a lot, but he's got a lot of injury concern. Dude gets hurt a lot, man. So my number one, I had put Carnell Tate there. And actually, like recent reports, Jordan Tyson's saying that he's not going to participate in a lot of events at the NFL Combine as of right now. So, I mean, you ask yourself, does that raise an eyebrow for some teams? Like, we know this guy has injury concerns, and then he's not going to come out and participate in some things. So, in my list, I have Cardinal Tate at 1, and I like Cardinal Tate a lot, dude. That dude's a weapon. There's just so much things that I can say about him. And then I had Jordan Tyson at 2. Makai Lemon is my 3. Casey Conception is my 4. And number 5 is Omar Cooper, as well as Tomas. So me and Tomas are just swapped on 1 and 2. So I'm the 4 back to Tomas.
Yeah, man, I have Jordan Tyson at 1. I mean, if he does medically clear that his injuries aren't connected, which I'm pretty sure they're not, but time will tell. Dude's just a monster. I mean, 98% in target rate. I mean, I think he's the best route runner in this class. Him and Cardinal Tate are pretty close. And then for Cardinal Tate, I mean, dude just a baller. Like the fact that he plays next to Jeremiah Smith, another great young wide receiver, and still is a first round talent, just shows you how good of a receiver he is. He is a little bit bigger, so you'll be kind of traditional X. That's the whole reason I think I have Makai Lemon at 3 is just dude would be number 1 if he was 6'4". I'm sorry to say, he would be such a talented guy here. I mean, the Lithikoff winner literally won best receiver. He had a 91.4 PFF grade. Like, that is outstanding. That is the elite of elite. He has a 66.7. Jokes, laugh it out, guys, laugh it out. His 50-50 balls. 50-50 balls. I mean, dude, honestly, I mean, it's literally a 60-40 ball if he catches 60% of his 50-50 balls. You know what I mean? Like KC, bro, just another guy, versatile Rackham receiver. This is kind of not a bad comp, but he kind of reminds me of Quentin Johnson when he came out of college. Now, Quentin Johnson doesn't have the best NFL career, but just kind of the same archetype, bigger receivers, kind of lengthier, catch the ball, turn it into good play. And then I have Omar Cooper Jr. from, of course, Indiana. I mean, he was, Fernando Mendoza's number 1 target. Guy had 13 touchdowns. Just a physical receiver. I think probably one of the most physical receivers in the draft class, especially he had 27 missed tackles. That's almost like running back numbers right there for a season. You know what I mean?
And the running backs, man. You got Jeremiah Love, the man from Notre Dame, the program that whines and cries about everything. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that in the fall. Nonetheless, Jeremiah Love has been an absolute stud, man. An absolute stud, along with Emmett Johnson, Katron Allen, and all them boys. Like, these running backs, like I said, another really, really good running back class as well. Tight end. I mean, I'm not going to say this whole offensive class is like, top 10 of all time, but I mean, we got some really, really good talent going on. What's going on with the running back and tight ends?
Man, Jeremiah Love, who you can say is a bigger prospect coming out of the draft than Ashton Genty. This dude is electric, bro. I would love for Kansas City to land him at 9 if he's there. And if he is there, bro, holy shit. Jeremiah Love, Patrick Mahomes together. That's crazy, bro.
Better than Genty?
Yeah, bro, better than Genty, dude. This dude is this is a crazy prospect, man. Jeremiah Love, he can play the pass game, the run game. He's explosive, man. So if the Chiefs can get this guy, bro, it's crazy. I'm already like self-doubting it. I'm just like, hey, bro, I don't see it happening because he's so good. I'm pretty sure your team will take him. The Arizona Cardinals can take him at 3. I don't know if they'll really do that. The New Orleans Saints take him at 8. Man, he can go anywhere. Even the team might trade up for him. But moving on from Jeremiah Love, Emmett Johnson. Man, dude is so good too out of Nebraska. I just hope he's not a one-year wonder. He had this one big year in Nebraska, rushed for over 1,000 yards. I want to say he had 12 touchdowns on the year. this dude was good, bro. I just hope he's not a 1 year wonder or like some type of hit and miss. Moving on to Katron Allen out of Penn State. You know, Nicholas Singleton was the guy last year rushing for over 1,000 yards. The show was him. Then Katron Allen comes and he takes it over. Now he's the guy that just took over that running back position at Penn State. That dude is also explosive. Tomas has Robert Henry Jr. at 4. On my list, I actually have Jonah Coleman out of Washington at 4. And 5, I have Seth McGowan out of Kentucky, and Tomas has Nicholas Singleton, which I have Nicholas Singleton as an honorable mention in my running back board. Now I hand the floor to Tomas.
Yeah, man. I mean, Jeremiah Love, yeah, probably one of the biggest running back prospects. Like Caleb said, I mean, I think he's up there with Bijan Robinson type of halfback there. I mean, dude is just elite. I mean, again, funny number, 6.9 yards per carry. I mean, that's just outstanding. 21 total touchdowns. Emmer Johnson, yeah, man, just a really, really good 1 year. But I just see the potential in him, man. I just think, especially in the combine coming up here soon, the 2 days for running backs, I think he's going to perform really well at the combine. I think that's why I have him at 2. I think he will be the second running back running back off the board. Probably not till the second round. But yeah, just a phenomenal RB. Katon Allen, I mean, what can I say about this guy? I mean, 1,300 plus yards, took over a starting spot over Nicholas Singleton, who is also a great running back. I still think personally is still a great running back as well. And for Robert Henry Jr. at a UTSA, I mean, I think he's just the ultimate sleeper running back. Over 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards in 2025. Rare dual threat weapon to have on your offense. I mean, I guess you could compare him to kind of like not a Kareem Hunt, my bad. I'm blanking on his name. The Saints running back,
Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara. There we go. Yes, like an Alvin Kamara sort of, but a little bit better rusher. And like I said, Nicholas Singleton, I think he did just have a down year, but again, combine's coming up. He shows off his athleticism, and I think he'll be just fine being taken later on, like around 3rd round, maybe 4th.
Yeah, and Robert Henry Jr., UTSA, that's my school's rival school, Texas State, UTSA. There's the big I-35 showdown at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. But when I watched that game, man, I couldn't go to that game because, obviously, their students get a pass in, but we don't, it's whatever. But at the same time, when I watched that game, the I-35 showdown, that game was freaking electric. Now, I'm not saying Texas State has the greatest freaking defense. We actually do not have a good defense at all, but we are better than New Mexico State. No offense, Luke. But nonetheless, like Robert Henry Jr. he kind of reminded me of like a mixture of Derrick Henry, but also like y'all said, like Alvin Kamara, just the way that he was just running all over this defense. The man seemed uncatchable at times because their quarterback couldn't put nothing together. So yeah, like I could see him going a little higher. Maybe his school might hinder him, but the draft is always unpredictable. Teams might see something in him that other teams might not. And speaking of players that I'm very familiar with, Jack Andrews. I see that he's in y'all's top 4. If y'all know me by now, I'm hooking for life. I bleed burnt orange to dad. I shout out my pops. Anyway, Jack Andrews, that man is an absolute beast when it comes to tight ends. I'm not saying he's Kenyon Sadiq beast, but man, when the moments count, when Arch couldn't get it to Parker Livingston or to Wingo or to any of our other top receivers, Jack Andrews was always there, man. An absolute stud, and I think he's definitely going to be a sleeper in the draft. Boys, talk to me about these tight ends.
So Kenyon Sadiq, we'll kick it off with him. Dude is a very talented tight end. Would say the downside to him is he's on the smaller side of a tight end. Does stand at 6'3", but your tight ends are typically 6'5" around there, and maybe that won't matter so much depending on how the what kind of role he'll play in on the team that grabs him. Um, when you're in the NFL, you're playing against the best, obviously. You're playing against some genetic freaks. And if you're putting Kenyon Sadiq to help out on the offensive line on a run play, or maybe even just simply on the pass play, and you're double teaming the edge, these defensive edges, Miles Garrett stands at what, 6'5", 6'6", 270 something pounds, and you got Kenyon Sadiq blocking him. That might be the downside because he is a smaller tight end, but he's a vertical threat. And when he's on down on the field, man, he makes plays. He had 8 receiving touchdowns on the year, which was first out of all tight ends. 54 targets, it was 25th out of all of them, and 42 receptions. He had 509 receiving yards on the year. And dude's a beast. I had to moss the floor on Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah, man, Kenyon Sadiq's just an amazing tight end talent here. Like Caleb said, just Big Ten tight end of the year. It says a lot. 8 touchdowns, especially if you put him in a slot, kind of like a Brock Bowers. We see how good he is. This dude will do amazing stuff in the NFL if he goes, of course, to the right team. Perfect fit. Like example, the Broncos. The Broncos could, even though I'm not, I'm a Chargers fan. I hate the Broncos. Caleb Chiefs fan. He's the Broncos too. If he was on that team, bro, it'd just be absolutely amazing. I mean, he's just I wouldn't say generational talent, but he's up there for tight ends for sure.
Now, lastly, the front lines. The main thing that ultimately caused the Patriots their Super Bowl. Give me your starting line. Give me your starting O line, boys. You got Olavega alone. You got Francis Mauga or Maugo. What's your starting line?
Man, dude, out of offensive tackles, my favorite tackle in this draft has got to be Spencer Fanu. I am not gonna lie. Dude has 0 sacks on the year. We can pull up his stats right here for you guys. We'll just read out his stuff. His overall grade is an 84.0, which is this is by PFF, which is 12th out of 632 offensive tackles in college. Dude is a beast, man. He is good in the pass blocking grade. He's got a good run blocking grade. Let's pull up some of the stats right here. So he has got no sacks out of all these offensive tackles. He's got 5 penalties, and he's played 822 snaps. 822 snaps and gave up, zero sacks. And then, it does give me 382 pass block snaps. 0 goose egg, bro. You want a guy to protect you, I would go get Spencer Fanu. This is my favorite tackle in the draft. Tomas, what do you think?
I mean, I have Francis at number 1, of course, and of course, I think he's probably the most talented tackle on this board, especially at his right tackle position. I mean, very important position. If he does not work out, because sometimes these tackles don't really work out, he'll be a fantastic guard. I mean, he's a elite right tackle, but can go and play in right guard if you have him to. I wouldn't really switch him to a left guard because you're switching yourself fundamentals. But yeah, I mean, I think Francis is more of a safer pick here, especially kind of as a versatility.
So overall, what is our starting line?
Our starting line, if I had to build a starting line. So I think it's easily going to be full of first rounders. But yeah, you got to give me Spencer Fanu and Francis playing tackle for me. Give me, man, I can't even say this name. Olive Vega. I'm going to take him. And I think it might shock some people here, but man, I kind of think about going Logan Jones over Emmanuel Precon. Yeah, but I think that's my starting lineup right there, man. Tomas.
Yeah, for me, like especially where these players really fit. I think we gotta have Francis at right tackle. Let's go down to Caden Proctor because He is a left tackle. More Monroe Fielding's also a really good left tackle in the draft class, but I think Proctor's the better fit. And then for both my guards, I'm gonna have to go with Vega as my right guard. I mean, dude's just the number one guard prospect in the draft this year. Then I'm gonna have to go Pregdon at left. I think this is the perfect fit. I mean, he has elite power, so he can help on the runs, of course. And then Logan Jones is a really good center, but I think yeah, he's a really good center. But Jake Slaughter is pretty nice too, especially if I want him having in a more of a pass scheme. I think I'll go with Jake Slaughter as my captain of that O line.
How do you think? Well, obviously, Caleb listed off some amazing stats when it comes to Spencer Fanu, but he's gonna have a time where he's gonna have to come up against Miles Garrett, you know, depending on where they put him on the line. But even then, Miles can play both sides of the D line. How do you think he'll fare? Because college, we all know, that's a different ball game. But when he gets to play like that, a grown ass man in Miles Garrett, who is an absolute master when it comes to sacks and obviously working around big tackles. How do you think he'll fare?
Shit, dude, Miles Garrett's a beast. I don't care who you put in front of that dude. That Miles Garrett's probably gonna get past him. That dude's a monster, bro. You can put the best offensive tackle in the league. There was an interview where Miles Garrett was talking about him being double teamed on like almost every play, and then Miles Garrett, said, "Man, they can put a 5v1 me," and he's like, "I'll still get back there." And there's a part of me that's like, man, maybe he will do it. Miles Garrett's a beast. He just broke the sack record, dude. That dude's a beast. So I don't think you can put anyone in front of that dude. Maybe at this point, even if you fucking built a brick wall, he's running through that thing.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Honestly,
Shout out,
I saw.
oh, my bad, Tomas, but shout out Coach G. That was Miles Garrett's coach.
Yeah, we actually met Miles Garrett. If we haven't told y'all already, but Miles Garrett, our old football coach, at our high school, he actually used to coach Miles Garrett in high school, and Miles Garrett came down to a little old Lovington, New Mexico, worked out with us, shot some content for himself or whatever. And yeah, he was like a really, really cool dude. It was just really hard to fathom that, like, wow, this is like the first time I've ever met an NFL player. And dude, he's turned out amazing. I mean, besides Brian Urlacher, if you really know Brian Urlacher, but Tomas, go ahead.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you put up any of these rookie tackles against someone like Miles Garrett, I mean, it's a no case, no show. You shouldn't even show up if you're a rookie going against Miles Garrett. But man, hopefully none of these tackles do play against him. Hopefully one of them's on Miles Garrett's team because the Browns actually only have 3 offensive linemen on a contract right now, and I think none of them are tackles. So that's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and speaking of insane, the off season right now is going pretty wild. There's a lot of trade rumors are going on. Caleb's been gathering a lot of information lately with, Tyreek Hill. We know he recently got released. There's still no talks of K9, but nonetheless, there's a lot going on. So without further ado, we got the CN7 Sports Media NFL Quickfire presented by Caleb.
Awesome, dude. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick fire real quick. This will be pretty fast. So, we'll start off with Kyle Pitts. He got franchise tag. He will not be hitting free agency. Atlanta's got him for another year. See if they work out some type of long-term deal where they're gonna keep that dude locked down. Williams signed a 3-year contract with Dallas, so he'll be their running back for, as of right now, 3 years until maybe something happens. But talking about the Chiefs real quick, we did cut Mike Dana, which I did mention in our last video. That was a move that I had predicted. Now he's no longer with us, so we're still working on that cap space. And Andy Reid recently held a press conference regarding Travis Kelce, and the signs are pointing that Travis Kelce is going to come back and run it back with the Chiefs and play another year. And they mentioned Tyreek Hill, asking if the Andy Reid's had any contact with Tyreek Hill, and he said no. But it does sound like they are going to keep an eye on him, see how his recovery goes, and maybe you will see Tyreek Hill head back to Kansas City, play with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce again, maybe on a little 1 year contract. And we'll move on to New York real quick for the Jets. Brees Hall, man, it looks like the Jets are not letting that guy go. They're going to franchise tag him. They're planning on using it. But before they do that, they're working on a long term extension deal. We're saying, speaking of franchise tag, we're still waiting on Dallas to franchise tag George Pickens, which none of that has been done yet. Some other reports, we have Daniel Jones trying to work out a good extension with the Colts. Doesn't plan on going anywhere. And Alec Pierce, pretty sure that dude's going to get franchise tag. You know, the Colts still are, I believe, $30 million in cap space currently in the NFL. So that leaves you a question. What are these moves that you're going to have? You have to retain them both. Michael Pittman is taking a big chunk of that money. And I think you kind of have to ask yourself, are you looking at trading the guy, restructuring the contract, or possibly cutting? They save a lot of money cutting him also, but I think he's got too much value just to let walk. But you got to retain both. Daniel Jones, I don't think he's worth the franchise tag money. He's a good quarterback, but I just don't see him making $45 million a year. K9, man, dude, I don't know what the word is in Seattle with him yet. I believe they're trying to work on an extension to keep him around, but they are not going to give him the franchise tag. So if K9 does not get the deal he wants, he's going to hit free agency and get the money he deserves. And that is a quick fire from me. And that is the NFL news as of right now. Rest in peace, Rondale Moore, by the way. Sad news.
Yeah. And obviously we have something planned out towards the end of the episode to Rondale Moore. But nonetheless, you know, Caleb listed off some really good things. And a question kind of came to my head. I mean, Caleb already said it, his opinion on it. But I mean, Daniel Jones pre-injury, we saw Danny freaking Dimes. And the man, like the Colts, they were Colts fans, Indiana, they thought they were going to win 2 championships in the same year. You know, Danny Dimes was doing his thing. And it's more so of a question like, this is the best chance that Colts have had in a long time, and especially with Danny Dimes at the helm. Yes, we know he had a bad rap in New York, but at the same time, like me personally, I think it would be worth it to maybe trying to work with Daniel Jones and maybe restructure his contract to, you know, maybe instead of 45, let's do 30. And you know, obviously leave some room for Michael Pittman, like Caleb said, you got to restructure them. So the question is like, what if it came down to it? What would you guys rather have? Would you guys rather keep Daniel Jones and possibly have to let go of Michael Pittman, or let go of Daniel Jones, go search the free agency, and keep Michael Pittman?
I think you got to keep the quarterback, definitely. We see quarterbacks are hard to find, especially a winning one. And we did see Indianapolis when they had Daniel Jones, they were a winning organization, the best in the NFL. I mean, they beat Denver by a field goal. You can argue and say Denver should have won that game. That was a good game by them. But Indiana was the best team in the NFL pre Daniel Jones injury. So I think you kind of have to I would focus on Daniel Jones. Still, I wouldn't franchise tag him, but would try to focus more on getting this dude paid. Alec Pierce, and yeah, it's a tough situation in Indianapolis. We hear trade rumors right now for him. I love this guy. This dude was one of my favorite quarterbacks coming out of the draft back then. But Anthony Richardson, dude, it was electric. I mean, he ran a 4.4 as a 6'5" quarterback. When do you hear that? This dude was like a Cam Newton clone, electric arm. And you know, speaking of trade rumors, which that flew by my mind in my quick fire, but there was rumors about him possibly going to Minnesota, competing with JJ McCarthy, Anthony Richardson heading to Minnesota. Because I think Minnesota, they're not really quite done with JJ McCarthy, but they're on the fence to where if they get another bad year from him, they're done. There's been rumors of Kyler Murray going to Minnesota. I've heard some crazy things about Joe Burrow. I don't think that one will happen. But yeah, there's a lot of rumors floating around Minnesota right now.
Yeah, I think as of right now, I think, sorry for my language, but Minnesota would give their left jewel they would most definitely give the left jewel for anybody because it's like as I'm still a Vikings fan, just not as deep rooted if you're new here, but um it's just more so like we've been talking about it for the past few weeks. You have the arguably the best wide receiver in the league, and the man is struggling. The man is struggling to put numbers out. The man is one of the highest paid, I think, if not the highest paid wide receiver in the league. And he needs somebody to get him to perform. And you got a handoff merchant back there that calls himself nine and has one good game, maybe two. And it's just, I mean, like you said, I would probably take Daniel Richardson. I would probably take Anthony Richardson. Take that chance because we need somebody who's going to perform. We need somebody who's already sat behind a good quarterback. Now, mind you, JJ did sit behind Sam, but that was only because he was injured last year. But nonetheless, I would see, Minnesota possibly, looking into the QB market, see what they can do. And in terms of that Joe Burrow rumor, there's a lot of Vikings fans are so delusional. But the funny thing is like there was rumors going on saying that they were going to give up like an X amount of picks, Jalen Naylor, TJ Hawkinson, just for Joe Burrow. But I mean, if the Bengals let go of Joe Burrow for that, Bengals wouldn't be nowhere near anything, honestly. But then again, by God willing, if the Vikings got Joe Burrow, mix that with KOC, the QB whisperer, someone who could absolutely cook him up a freaking chef's kiss of a playbook for him, there's a chance that it could turn the Vikings organization around. Tomas.
Yeah, back to the whole pay Daniel Jones or his receiver. I mean, man, you have to pay the quarterback. Come on, I mean, he's your guy. He's your set in stone winner. You could always draft another receiver. It won't be as good as the receivers you're losing, but you never know, man. This receiver class is definitely talented enough to uh replace the people you're missing, especially at the receiver position. Yeah, man, and you just have to pay the quarterback, bro. There's no other way of you doing it than not paying Daniel, especially he put his body on the line for your team at the end of the day. Pay the man.
And Lucas, I know that we've been discussing that there's not a lot going on with K9. What do you see the best outcome for the Seahawks? We've been discussing the Seahawks for a little bit now. What do you see the best outcome? Because obviously I know they want to keep building upon their defense, the dark side, but also with defense comes offense. Y'all probably might sign Sam for a big long-term contract, but also you might have to re-sign K9. You got a whole offense to pay. What do you think is going to happen?
Brother, we can't.
you were muted. We couldn't hear you. Go ahead. No.
Try unmuting your other account, the one that you have the other things.
There we go.
I hear something now. There it is.
Okay, this is my other whatever. Okay. I think now more than ever for sure, we're letting K9 walk on. I think what Jason's statement saying that he's positive he's getting to the point where he's a higher paid receiver. I think they're gonna keep him over K9 easies. So I think they're gonna let K9 go, save the money, and use it towards someone like Jason. I mean, we do still got a franchise tag, but again, I mentioned his name Witherspoon. We got to keep a defensive player, so I think he's walking on.
The thing with the NFL is like you have your franchise tag and then you have a thing called the transition tag. So your franchise tag is you're going to get paid top market value of that position with the number what it is. I don't know if I sent you guys the picture real quick. Here, I don't know if I showed you guys. Let me see if I can pull it up. I know I have it in my photos, so I give you guys accurate data. I don't want to be talking out of my bum. Where we at? Here we go. So with the running backs, we have the franchise tag valued at $14.5 million. That's like top market value around there. I think Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and then they still make more than that. But that's around top market value. And I mean, would Seattle be willing to give K9 that money? I don't think they are, because they have a lot of players they have to focus on re-signing right now, such as Tariq Woolen, some edges that they have to sign. But then what I was mentioning a while ago, the transition tag. The transition tag is less than the franchise, but there's a catch to it. The transition tag is valued for running back right now at $11.7 million. So if the Seattle Seahawks transition tag Kenneth Walker, he's guaranteed that money, but he is open to free agency. So, he can still talk with, the Chiefs or something. And if the Chiefs throw more money on the table, we can still get K9.
Damn, so it's like a freaking open relationship at this point if they do the transition tag. That sucks. That sucks. But then again, he still gets paid. He gets paid that 11 and some change. And then, like you said, Chiefs go in and, throw a bag at him after they clear up their cap space. Yeah. That's going to be a good payday for him.
Yeah, the only thing about the transition tag is basically you set the line. You set that line, and the teams have to go above it, obviously, So Seattle throws the 11.7. The Chiefs, you have to throw a bigger deal for like 13 or just jump to 14 what the franchise tag value would be.
Yeah, man. I don't think K9 at this point is going to get paid. I feel like if it were to happen, it would happen sooner than later. But I think 14 million is just a little too much for Seattle right now, especially just for a running back when you're mainly a pass heavy offense, sort of. Especially with, game on the offensive player of the year, JSN. I know at one point Sam Darnold was like PFF #1 quarterback. I don't know if he ended the year like that, but he was, of course, the most accurate quarterback in the league this year, too, I think, for a while. But, yeah, man, you just can't pay that much money for – that franchise tag is $14.5 million. You're talking about, like, the top 3 running backs in the league average. Like I've said, Saquon, literally it's Saquon Barkley, different tier running back. Also, CMC is getting paid a big chunk of change. These guys are complete difference makers every time they take a snap on the field. And I don't think K9's really worth that amount of money.
Damn. He said he's not that worth that kind of money. Man, I'd love you two to go back and forth and debate on that, man, because that's a bold statement. I think he's worth that much. I would pray that Vikings go and grab him, to be honest, because we haven't really had a good running back since Dalvin Cook, to be honest. So, hey, I'm throwing it out there. Vikings, we haven't got a run game. We got Aaron Jones, mind you. Aaron Jones is good, but the man's getting old and Father Time is catching up to him. K9 is in his prime. Luke.
Yeah, I called it on episode 3. I said K9 wasn't going to be worth that much, and I stand with Tomas as well. I think just the running back market right now is just, it's not, it's hard to not, it's not that much, even, and so I think teams can get him pretty cheap. But then that also leaves a statement. Then if he's cheap, why can't Seattle just sign him? So you do get, it's kind of like in a little, what's that thing called, a titty totter, whatever. I don't even know. I probably said it wrong, but it's like one of those things, where it's like you see the pros and cons of both. Like you see the cons of like you can get rid of him, save money, but then at the same time too, you can also maybe get this guy. But it just boils down to how much is he willing to take, and if he's again being MVP Super Bowl, like you get to put a high market on your name. You know what I mean? So I think that's where you do just got to be like, all right, well, he's the MVP, he won the Super Bowl. Like, he has every right to, say, hey, I'm worth something. Because, I mean, it's just you got other running backs who are better than him who haven't won a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's just. I think he could put his money where his mouth is. I think he showed up, but it's hard, man. I my statement is I don't think he's worth that much, but again, there's so many, arguments against that. So it's kind of it's hard, man. It's a very hard topic to get a for sure answer on.
Speaking of putting money where your mouth is, as you guys remember at the beginning of the episode, we talked about a new segment. We talked about a new sport that we're bringing into the show. Bracket season is almost here. March Madness is almost here. And nonetheless, even though Christian isn't here, Lucas is going to give us a full rundown on his early March Madness predictions and also what is going on in terms of college basketball. Speaking of Texas Longhorns, we're doing freaking great in basketball. We're doing great in every freaking sport. You know what I'm saying? We're doing great. So shout out Texas Longhorns. But nonetheless, we give the floor to Lucas to give a rundown on college basketball.
Yeah, for sure. Exciting new segment. This sport's about to become the most watched sport in the month of March. Right here, you got your top 25 teams. Duke, Arizona, Michigan, Iowa State, Houston, UConn, Florida, Purdue, Gonzaga, Illinois, Virginia, Nebraska, Michigan State, Kansas, St. John's, Red Raiders, Texas Tech, Alabama, UNC, BYU, and Arkansas. So some teams, are just it's a no-brainer they're on this list. Duke, Arizona, Houston, UConn, Gonzaga, those guys, Kansas, those guys are basically just a guaranteed top 25 every year. But nevertheless, I mean, you always have great games. I believe right now you have some couple of games going on. I think Texas is going on right now, actually. But yeah, this is your top 20, 25 list as of right now, going into March with February coming to an end here shortly. This next slide I got for you guys is the bracket as of most recent. Of course, it's bound to change, but East region, you got big dog Duke's gonna be your number one seed. They actually just claimed number one overall not so long ago when they played Michigan in a great game. He has some stats for you guys here for him. I won't pop it up, but I'll read them to you guys. Michigan top scorer Axel Lendeborg, I believe is his name. 21 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 7 for 15 field goals, 3 for 9 for 3-pointers. 21 points, guys. The final score was 68-63. It was a great back and forth game. But man, dropping 21 points is just insane. And then for Duke, probably the number one prospect right now in college basketball, Cameron Boozer. I'm sure y'all have heard of them, the Boozer twins. The dude's been carrying Duke all year long. It's not, if Duke goes back to back number one seeds in the NBA draft, that'd be, pretty cool. You had Cooper Flag last year, who's been balling out in the NBA right now. Easily has a chance to win Rookie of the Year there. But like I said, Cameron Boozer, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Man, this dude's a monster in the paint. He's a monster in the paint. He can shoot. He's a passer. He's a defensive player. Like when you have an all-around guy like that for basketball, man, it's just a great thing. So Duke moved up to number one seed after beating Michigan. Michigan drops down to 3, and Arizona sits comfortably at 2. Another game that we had was 24 seed Louisville versus 18 seed North Carolina. Some stats for you. We had Seth Trimble from UNC put up 30 points. That's crazy. The total matchup became 77-74. So 3-point game. Yeah, it's crazy. So 30 points helped. Michael Brown Jr. on Louisville, 24 points, and Ryan Conwell, 23 points. So just 1 point off from being tied together. And then the last game right here that I have is your Kansas Jayhawks against your Houston Cougars. So Houston is actually seed number 5. Kansas is your 14th seed. But believe it or not, Kansas came up with the win, beating Houston 69-56. Trey White, 23 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, season high. Bryson Thriller had 11 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double. Melvin Council Jr., 11.6 rebounds, 4 assists for your Jayhawks. For your Cougars, you got Kingston Fleming, 16 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Chris Senek Jr., 9.7 rebounds. Milos Uzan, 7 points, 3 assists. And Emmanuel Sharp, 5 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. So those were some of your top games that have happened. It's going to be a wild one, man. I remember about 2 years ago, I actually won our March Madness tournament, so I'm hoping to run it back. I lost last year. But, it's exciting, man. March is awesome. My brother and I got a chance to go watch, I think it was Sweet or Elite 8 games. And, man, going back to the whole, college versus pros, when it comes to basketball, college is a million times better. Like, I don't care who was playing. I would rather go to a college game than go watch, Golden State versus someone else. It's just beyond crazy. But like I said, this is your list here. East region, number 1 seed Duke. Midwest region, Michigan. Not a shocker there at all. South region, UConn, and West region, Arizona, who actually lost to Tech. I believe it was last week. It was a thrilling game. I think it was a 4-point game. So that definitely helped Tech in the rankings. As you can see, there are your 4th seed in the South region. So it's going to be some exciting basketball going into March. Start looking at your brackets. Get them prepared. It's going to be a very fun one this year, like every other year. So you're going to have your underdogs who come in and take over. You're going to have your top dogs. Just put a stamp and just crush every other team's hopes. So it's exciting, and I think that's all I have for you guys on basketball. So we'll see what happens by the end of next week.
Yeah, and speaking of brackets, if you guys don't know us by now, if we do a pre-combine draft and we do a post-combine draft, you most definitely know dang well by now that we are going to have our first ever CN7 Sports Media bracket. The boys, we're all going to get together next episode before March Madness starts. And yeah, because by next week, March is already here. So we're going to have our March Madness brackets fully up and ready to go. And, I saw Texas at 9. We just lost to Florida, so that just shows we can't even beat Florida in basketball, even though we embarrassingly lost them in the swamp. In football as well. But nonetheless, that was a close game. Texas is 17-11. But hey, there's a potential chance we could see Caleb reporting live from a Texas Tech game. Love a game so far. What do you think, Caleb?
Shit, I'm bringing Lucas and Tomas with me, bro.
I'm not entering enemy territory. So, but I will definitely send y'all that way. Yeah, I'll let y'all hand that way. We'll get a stream for the channel going up there. But nonetheless, as we come to a close of that segment, there's a lot of things in Formula One. A lot of fast-paced stuff going on. We know basketball's fast-paced, but you know what else is faster-paced is Formula One, except for these cars. F1 testing, test 2 in Bahrain has officially finished, and there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of doubts. There's a lot of wonders that are going on in terms of who's sandbagging. We've been talking about this for a little bit now, but also who's looking the strongest. These new regulations that they came out with, the FIA came out with, they're a bit of a toss-up. Teams are really struggling to truly figure out what's going, like how they can navigate these. With starts going to be all over the place. Instead of DRS, they officially called it straight mode. So I mean, in some turns, in some races, you can use DRS in the corners depending on how close you are. Because the old rules were if you were under 1 second behind your opponent, you could use DRS to try to even out the score. But now it's a whole different ball game, and you have teams like Ferrari. I don't know if Lucas has the graphic pulled or the picture pulled up, but you have teams like Ferrari who have actually changed the design of their rear wing altogether. So if you're a Formula One fan, you already know how these rear wings are designed, but instead, Ferrari actually flipped that wing upside down. And the cool thing about that is that these new regulations are causing a lot of these rear wings to cause a lot of drag. And drag for Formula One cars is not good because it basically makes them less faster in the straights. And we all know now in this generation, straights are everything. But nonetheless, it's a lot going on. And speaking of Ferrari, out of Bahrain testing, Charles Leclerc topped the charts at a 132.992, beating the reigning world champion Lando Norris by zero point 0.8 seconds. Charles also completed 132 laps. Now, when you look back on the 2025 preseason testing, it's actually shocking, to be honest, to see how much slower these cars are, because we did talk about that last week. We did talk about that last week overall, about the true definition of how slow these cars are. Like, look at this graph is a perfect example. Our fastest car from Ferrari, which, if you don't know me by now, I'm a huge Ferrari fan, but this is embarrassing. This generation, as we've been saying, is supposed to be, a lot faster. It's supposed to be a lot more nimble, a lot easier to drive. But these things are all tractors. These things are all tractors. You got George Russell from last year preseason testing, dropping a 129.545 with 91 laps. The man completed a lot less laps and did a lot faster time. That is over a 2-second, or almost a 2-second difference, which, if you already know, Formula One, that's a long time. Nonetheless, Luke.
Yeah, man. You look at these right here, these stats, and it's a mile of a difference. Like I've said before, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds makes a huge difference. Um, which is it's just it's crazy. Like Marcus just said, everyone thought these cars were supposed to be faster. Everyone thought these cars were supposed to, just be like, wow, oh my goodness. And the only thing wow and oh my goodness about it is Ferrari's new wing. I mean, that's the only cool thing we've seen from these new cars. Um, Not to mention, Lewis Hamilton's takeoff during the practice race, where he started out, I believe, was seventh place and jumped all the way to, was it first by the first turn?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's cool to see at least, but that's good stuff. We're on the bad stuff now, so let me say to that. But yeah, man, just like the fact that we're making so much fun of Aston Martin's car being a tractor, but when you look at this, in all reality, every single car is a tractor compared to last year. Um, and I've said this statement before, and I'll say it again over and over until F1 get fixed, until their cars get fixed. Is it's bad to see this sport going slower. Like, next thing you know, we're gonna be stuck with F1 and F2 combined. And if it ever gets to that point, then I'm just completely not watching F1 ever again, and I'm just throwing away all my Legos and everything I have of it. Um, so yeah, it's just like the graph shows, 1.31 versus 1.29. And in a world of speed, and every second counts. It's like seeing that, you got, like I said again, you got your top dogs, which you have Alpine, Pierre Gasly, pretty talented racer. You have Haas, top 10. That's awesome. It's good to see Audi in the top 10, first car, running it in top 10. So that's pretty good. But like I said, it's disappointing to see when things should be improving and they're not improving. It's always tough to just see that, and it's heartbreaking as a fan to watch that. So
Yeah, I'm doing the math right now, because I'm just trying to figure out this, because, like we said, these cars are freaking tractors, and hold on, let me do this real quick. Uh,
I have
Dude,
a question for
talk to
y'all.
me.
So you guys are saying like these cars are tractors, they're slower now. Of course, I don't know that much about F1, for all you that know, but does that make the sport more dangerous or like less dangerous? You'd say. I mean, they are slower cars, but I feel like you guys are saying they're kind of less reliable, so like maybe they'll spin out. What's like the how's your view on if it's more dangerous this season than it was maybe last season? I'd say.
In terms of danger, Formula One has done a tremendous amount of safety changes. Like before, like in the golden age of Formula One, when you had Ayrton Senna and all those racing legends back in the day, like safety was at the bottom. Like if you became a racing driver or a Formula One driver, the chance of you dying just came with your contract. Now, with the development of the Halo and the constant development of Halo, the helmet technology, all these extra safety features, the cars are beyond safe. Like if you Luke, you remember that Wan Yu Zhou wreck where he flipped into the cage? Like that was crazy to watch. But the cars are so freaking safe now. Even if they're tractors, it doesn't really affect safety that much. Besides, them spinning out, they might wreck into each other. But nonetheless, like I said, that wreck not that long ago. What was it? 2 years ago? 2023? 2022? Yeah, somewhere around there. That wreck was crazy. And then even then, there was another one where I think it was like when Lewis and Max they had gone into a turn and they had flipped over and one of them literally graced the other halo. If that would have been back in the day, like let's say the 70s, 80s, 90s, they both would have been dead and we would have lost two legends. So in terms of safety, doesn't really affect. It's just more so about our safety in terms of our mental health of watching these tractors because um, while you were talking, I did the math. Alex, what was it? Ollie Behrman, the slowest car of last year's testing, did the exact same time Ferrari did. Let that sink in. Mind you, they do share the same. They do share the same engine, but still, let that sink in, Luke. Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, going back to Tomas' question, I think the only thing that's gonna be more dangerous and that's gonna be scary is the company's wallets. In all honesty, as far as the drivers, they're perfectly fine. Like the car is built to survive. Except with the Halo. Mark is talking about the Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. I mean, Lewis went on top of Max, and the Halo dented the car on top. Like that's crazy. And like the other wreck, like so yeah, I think the only thing that's gonna be dangerous or anything that's gonna be in trouble is gonna be the company's wallet. But yeah, going back to what Marcus was saying, yeah, like man, knowing the fact that Ollie Behrman could compete with a Max Verstappen in today's like car, like that's like I said, like it's not good and it's just not where you want to be going. You know what I mean? It's hard, like in any sport, like they're going backwards. It's like, you go to the NFL and next, quarterbacks can't throw the ball farther than 30 yards. You know what I mean? Like that's like, or running backs can't jump over people anymore. Basketball, you can't shoot 3-pointers anymore. Like that's kind of like what it feels like. So like a picture like your sport and, one of the coolest things about it and it just like slowly like getting worse. And that's kind of what's happening right now. And so, but as far as safety, no, I mean, I think, like I said, you got some of the smartest people working on these cars to develop the safety. I remember the crash where they call him the man on fire. I'm blanking on his name right now. But the dude, I mean, yeah, he literally blew up, car split in half, and all the dude's hands just got burnt, obviously, because you have to put the gloves on, so air, fire, and stuff was able to get in. Um, but I mean, I don't think that it'll mess up. Of course, I mean, last year, if there was gonna be wrecks, it would have been a lot more last year, especially with all the rookies that had came in. But I think now that you got, they're more developed and they're smarter drivers, and I think it should be safer, especially if it's going slower, So it's like I said, it's a disappointing watch right now, especially like I said that stat that Marcus threw out, like that's just mind-boggling. I never even noticed that until then, and so yeah, so here's a picture of it. I mean, the dude is perfectly fine. I mean, he had a on Drive to Survive. They talk about him, and I got teary-eyed, low key, just hearing the fact, like just his story. But yeah, I mean, just let that picture soak in. Like, there's this picture over here on the top left, underneath the very top one. Like that picture's that one right there. Like, look at the dude's literally on fire. I mean, and like I said, the dude walked away with not anything like crazy, just some, obviously some severe burn. But I mean, it's just, I mean, of course, it's a dangerous sport. Of course, a lot could go wrong, you know what I mean? But you trust, like I said, you trust the car. And, I think right now, like I talked about, like I think it was the third episode about their brakes locking up and not being able to turn right. That you do run the risk of, again, just taking out another car and just boom. But as far as like if I'm a driver, I'm confident in the safety in the car. And like Marcus said, so once you sign that paycheck, you basically sign your life to say, hey, if something happens in this car, like I knew it was gonna happen. Like I'm not like I don't go into this sport thinking like it's gonna be sunshine and rainbows and I'm never gonna get a scrape or nothing. But I mean, you watch videos of them racing and when they drive into the gravel, rocks just flying right at you, just boom, 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 just getting hit. And so here's another picture here. That dude slides he's upside down sliding, and like he's you're coming in, I don't even know how many miles per hour, but you're coming in hot. Like this is straight off of I think this was at the very beginning of the race, right? Like they took off
Yeah,
and
it was around the first turn because it was 3 cars that wrecked, but he just got it the worst out of it because the other 2 they ran into each other and he was coming behind them and it just turned into this. But like I remember watching that race live and just like the utter shock of just like seeing that, and it was just like oh my gosh. And then he got out like nothing happened. And this just shows like the overall sportsmanship. Like I know this isn't super clear, but that is George Russell coming out of that tractor of a Mercedes, coming to check on Joe Guan Yu to see if he's okay. But it's just like it's insane, man. But like I said, if and me and Lucas have been touching on this, like in terms of driver safety, these cars have been safe for a tremendous amount of time. It just the crazy thing is I actually did a full presentation on this not that long ago in a class about driver safety. And what caused the death of Ayrton Senna is that whole weekend there was I don't know if Luke, do you remember the weekend like the weekend Ayrton Senna died? Do you remember how many drivers died that weekend?
I don't remember at the top, but I know let me look it up really quick and so I can give you, because I don't remember exactly how much, but I know it was a crazy.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 drivers or something. I think it was 3 drivers by then, and they were just going into practice. I think they were just going into qualifying, and yeah, just they like their Ayrton was one of the main ones advocating for overall driver safety. And nonetheless, like FIA did not care. They just, they put these drivers through the absolute worst conditions, and we lost a racing legend. But it was his loss that ultimately caused change that Formula One was needing drastically. Because imagine, like, could you all imagine if they would have never changed the regulations for safeties of the car? Think about how many more drivers would have died. We'd probably never have a Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen or any of these other drivers. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, it's like, if imagine if NFL players were still playing with that helmet with just the looper, and never evolving. I mean, it's sad to say, but of course, through some of these deaths, you learn like, hey, we really need to step up on this part. Even the NFL to this day, like, hey, our helmets still aren't safe enough. Like, let's put padding on top of the helmets. So I mean, of course, in sports, you're always gonna have injuries. You're always gonna have some, crazy accidents. And it's just, the guys are just doing the best they can to protect everyone's safety, whatever level that is, whether that's, T-ball getting hit in the head, or all the way to, pros. And it's just, and but again, that's the thing, is you can't go in playing a sport and be scared. You know what I mean? I think we all have learned that playing sports is that, if you go in playing scared, you're going to get hurt even more. And I agree with that statement 100%. So, again, one of the models for the F1 is, if you drive scared, like, that's when something's going to happen. You know what I mean? So same thing we've learned in football is like, if you're going to take a hit and you clinch up and get all scared, like, dude, you can break your neck. Like, you know what I mean? So it's it's graphic, don't get me wrong, but there's danger in everything these days. But again, you trust your mechanics, you trust your everyone who designs the cars to make sure it's the safest place you can be when you're on that track.
And a lot of people don't think, oh, they just get in the car and drive. Mind you, they all have to be around the same height. They all have to be around. They all have a weight limit, and the amount of existential training that they have to go through to, withstand these G forces. Because the G forces alone can kill a person with the amount that they can withstand. Like me, Lucas, or Tomas, like Caleb, any of us, we can't just go hop in a Formula One car and be like, "Hey, we're gonna go take turn 12 at max speed." Like these guys can. We can't. We'll die. We literally will, or we'll seriously mess up ourselves pretty bad. So yeah, that's another thing that's calling back to the past where they just didn't do that much in terms of training, in terms of preparation, everything. And if you this sport, it's a time thing. If you want to be in it for a long time, you got to take care of your body, but also like Luke said, you have to trust your engineers. You got to trust the whole team at the factory. You got to trust everybody. And with that, we will come to our final segment of the episode. Now, we usually don't end every episode like this, and this is something we don't ever plan. We don't ever plan for. The sad truth is that stuff like this happens every day. Every day, cases like this happen, and we had lost. Caleb had mentioned earlier, Rondale Moore, former Vikings wide receiver and Cardinals wide receiver as well. And earlier this year, we lost Marshawn Nealon and Kyron Lacey, all to the same problem. We wish them nothing but the best, and we hope they rest in peace. But it's just a sad thing that mental health is such a big thing. And a lot of people are like, dude, you got money, you're happy. Maybe for now if you don't have it. But then again, just because you have everything doesn't mean you have everything. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it's so sad, because all the tweets came out, from people that knew him, people that were friends with him, like, bro, you were just at my house the other day. We were just on the phone a couple hours ago. I told you could come over and stay with me, and it's just like there was some backlash towards the NFL coming out and towards teams as a whole about, our deepest condolences with the family and friends, and we hope that may he rest in peace, and don't be afraid to reach out for help. But a former NFL player came out recently and stated that if you try to do those certain things in the building, you're going to be looked at differently, and that takes a toll. That takes a toll on someone that they feel like they can't reach out for help. And we've all dealt with our own form of sadness, depression, anxiety. We all have, and it suffocates you. It suffocates you in the sense that you can't, like, if you feel like you can't reach out, you drive yourself to a point that of no return. And he also said that the teams and the facility, they'll start treating you differently. Nobody wants that. Just treat him like he's human, but help him. If he's asking you for help, don't make it this big old thing where you got to call a team meeting. Yes, I see the positives in that, but at the same time, like Kyron Lacey, Marshawn Nealon, like all these guys, like they didn't have to go. The Kyron Lacey thing was so messed up because I remember when we all saw that case, it wasn't even his fault, but people got him to that. People put this whole thing on him, and it's just sad, man. And Luke actually has some stats in terms of athlete mental health and everything. But nonetheless, I'm going to give the floor to the boys to kind of dig a little deeper into this.
So, man, I want to do a little tribute to Rondale Moore. We talked about, school pride and everything last episode, and Rondale Moore definitely was the image of that. Rondale Moore, coming out of high school, was a four-star recruit, number one recruit in Kentucky. He had offers from everywhere: Alabama, Ohio, Texas, any school that you can think of, he had it. He was committed to Texas and decided to go play for Purdue for all the right reasons. He's sorry, he said he wanted to leave a legacy. He wanted to have early playing time, and he did. He showed up his true freshman season and just played lights out, going for 1,000 receiving yards, I believe 12 touchdowns as a true freshman. This is an 18-year-old kid. He didn't wait a year to sit on the bench and develop. He just came ready. Then he played lights out, dude. We can watch his film from his true freshman year, him against the Ohio State, where Purdue upset the Ohio State, and he was a big factor of that game. Going into his sophomore year, he had some injuries, which he had to sit out. He had a hamstring injury, which he only played 4 games. 2020, we all know, was a tough time for a lot of people. COVID. Rondale Moore decided to sit out due to COVID. Only played, I believe, 4 games that year as well. And in 2021, he was selected in the second round by the Arizona Cardinals. His NFL career didn't quite live up to his college career. Didn't really have all the crazy stats, touchdowns. He was kind of just there. But man, rest in peace, Rondale Moore. Prayers out to him and friends and family.
Yeah, man. Just so sad seeing these young players, just getting taken away from us, even if they um, weren't projected to be high NFL stars. I mean, these are still people at the end of the day. I mean, I remember Kyron Lacey before the draft. Me and Caleb were literally talking about, oh, Kyron Lacey's going to be a sleeper. He's going to the Chiefs and that. I mean, Caleb were literally ecstatic for that. This was, of course, before everything happened, but then I was like, oh, you don't know, bro. Maybe the Chargers could draft them in the 6th, snipe them. Or like this guy's full of potential stuff. I mean, he's so young. And just whenever that news came out, I remember me and Caleb were like no way. Then when I found out the whole story and just people did, keep on pushing him online, saying he, you know, killed someone when he, didn't. It's just sad. I think more of these NFL teams need to have like some therapists in their buildings. I think they should have like not mental days, but maybe mental team meetings just as groups, position groups. Maybe certain days have certain hours, of course, have running backs. Talk about their feelings, even if it's one on one and the other ones are waiting. I mean, there's really nothing to joke about mental health, especially when you're an athlete. I mean, these guys are going through so much mentally, even if it's contracts. I mean, some guys get paid big and then they don't live up to their hype. And I mean, one of the Broncos linemen actually had to go to a therapist for 2 years, I believe, because he made so much money and he felt like he didn't deserve it, and he had a little off year, but he got back to it, back to being great, of course. And yeah, man, I think just need someone to talk to. Even these guys do have people to talk to still, and they still end up doing what they did. I mean, I think you just need some real professionals in the building.
Yeah, for sure, man. I got some stats pulled up here. Um, First I'll go over like just the overall professional athletes, and I'll dive specifically more towards NFL. Um, but about 35% of professional athletes experience symptoms of mental health conditions such as anxiety or depression during their careers. Now, 35%, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you compare it to how many professional athletes there are across the world, like that's a big percentage. And of course, it comes with pressure, from I got to make sure I'm the best I can, or I got to make sure I provide for family or mom and dad. Like, there's just a bunch of that we would never know about because, obviously we're not there. But more deeply into the NFL, about 24% of former NFL players report symptoms of depression. About 26 report symptoms of anxiety. 18% report experiencing both anxiety and depression. Impact of career length. Every 5 seasons played in the NFL increases depression risk by about 9%. So then a survey of retired NFL players were more likely to average, or sorry, let me see, read this correct. Sorry. A survey of retired NFL players found that they were more likely than average U.S. men to report mental health problems. So 53% reported feeling anxious, sometimes 45 reported feeling depressed, sometimes 40% reported feeling lonely. And this is after the NFL. So, and during the NFL, you can be the best player in the world and still have haters. And we know the world we live in is hate's a very evil thing, and some people just take it too far. And of course, uh, like they just say things that shouldn't be said. But yeah, man. For anyone out there, yeah, that's dealing with that stuff, we just, of course, always seek help. And again, it is sad that that you get judged for having these things. It's sad that you get seen as a weaker person, especially for guys who, it's like, as a guy, like, people are like, no, you're supposed to be strong. You don't have, like, no, like, you know what I mean? And so just, yeah, anyone out there, man, that deals with stuff like this, of course, always seek help, because at the end of the day, it's your life that you're saving. It's your own, ego and happiness that you want to restore and rebuild, and not be down every single day, and just deal with these thoughts that aren't even true. You know what I mean? Because half these thoughts, if you let the world get to you, man, it can lead you to a very dark tunnel. And just know you're greater than all that hatred out there. Every single person is blessed, and that y'all are all just, y'all are all special, and everyone here is loved. Um, by someone out there, our creator. He loves you very much. So even if, I'm sure Marcus doesn't mind sharing this, because, where I stand. So, if you're ever lonely, man, and I know, like I said, human interaction might not be the best for you, or it might just be it might be awkward or scary. But, we have a mighty creator and savior out there who's died for every single one of you guys, who loves you very deeply. And, when you are going through these dark roads, that he'll never leave you, forsake you, and that you are, every single one of you are a child of God, and just know that he loves you um, beyond our own comprehending. So just remember that, know that we guys love you here. We support y'all. And I know we say reach out for help, and I know sometimes people won't, but like I said, just know you're always loved.
Yeah, to touch on what Lucas said, I'm trying not to get choked up, but it shit breaks my heart, man. It really breaks my heart, because, like, just like fully letting it sink in as someone, and you guys know this as best as me. Like, y'all know, Caleb knows I've struggled with this. We've all had our own struggles, and I've struggled with, the whole mental health thing for a really long time. Like, I can't tell y'all how many times that me and Caleb have sat down, we've cried together, we've talked about, when we felt like almost suffocated by our own feelings, when we felt like we couldn't fully reach out to anybody, when we kind of felt like we had nobody to reach out at the time, because we were young, we were afraid, to ask for help in general, because, like Lucas said, we're dudes, we're guys, that's not what, we're supposed to do. But man, like, there's just so much more to life. Like, I remember when my parents told me, like, that's not something you do, because you have friends, you have families, you have your siblings. Like, all of us love you, even when you're in your darkest of places. Lucas kind of touched on this. When you are in your darkest of places, he will come for you. The Lord will come for you. And like, the famous saying is, he will leave the 99 for the one. And you might think you're not that one, but you are always that one. You are always that one. Caleb?
Yeah, it's sad. I've had a family member that's died to an issue like this way, and it was very tough on me. Um, like Lucas said, he couldn't have said it any better, man. Jesus is always there for everybody, our Lord and Creator. You're never alone. You always have friends and family, believe it or not. In the dark time, I can understand someone feeling alone, but there's always someone to reach out to. There's always people love you. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I mean, you could always, can't have these feelings that, oh, no one's there for me, I'm by myself in my room, having these dark thoughts. But I mean, yeah, man, even if it's someone you haven't talked to in a while, just reach out for help, man. Just friend, family member, because I mean, like, you're of course hurting yourself, but you're hurting everyone around you as well. I mean, they say it's a selfish thing to you know take your own life, but you never know what these people are going through with day to day. I mean, when you're around them, they might seem happy. Then I mean, you just never know what's really going on in someone's head. Lucas gave perfect example. I mean, there is always someone there for you, even if you are truly by yourself, and that's the man above.
Amen. Amen. Oh man, that's like I said. We never plan on ending these episodes this way. We never. It's not a subject we want to talk about. It's not a subject we like to talk about. But the truth is, like we said in the beginning, we said earlier, like this stuff happens every day. Not just athletes, but just people who we see like who they come off as normal. It's called putting on a front. We have a couple kids. We have a couple dudes that we went to high school with. Who tragically, we lost them due to the same problem. And it's just like these were some of the happiest people we knew. And one of them, Caleb, lived, not too far from, we all didn't live too far from him. We all knew him. One of the happiest guys you knew. And it's just sad, man. But nonetheless, like I know it's such a cliche, but it's something that's helped me out so much in my time of navigating mental health and everything. But reach out for help. Talk to your parents, talk to your closest friends. If you feel like you don't got a friend, there's so many different services out there that'll give you a 30-minute talk just to kind of calm your feelings down, you know or you talk to a therapist, get with your insurance. Like there's so many different outlets that you can go to, but like Lucas said, our creator, he created us, and that is the best outlet you could possibly reach out to. We bring him your sorrows, you bring him your worries, you bring him your anxieties. And at first, it might not seem like it's fixed, but trust me, in the end, your pain with that is only temporary. It's only temporary because who knows? By next year, you might be looking on that time like, dang, I was really going through it, but I've grown so much from it, and I'm in so much of a better place. Nonetheless, we will conclude this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I guess I keep repeating myself, but I never plan on fully repeating myself so much. But the next episode, Drive to Survive, will be fully out by then. We're super excited. Oh my gosh, music is playing. Holy crap. Hold on. Just give me one sec. Drive to Survive will be fully out and ready to go. So Caleb and Tomas, we've been teasing this for a little bit. Caleb and Tomas will be giving their full feedback and what their thoughts are on the sport. Obviously, it's going to be a recap of last season, so they're going to get a full deep dive as well. And also, we have Christian coming back next week, so y'all know what that means. We planned on live streaming this episode, but nonetheless, we are going to live stream episode 6 on on YouTube and TikTok. We're also going to have a segment where we're going to have a Q&A with y'all. If y'all want to ask us any questions, sports related, preferably sports related, that'd be awesome. And we look forward for y'all to tune in, share it with your friends, share it with your friends, with your grandma, your dog's cousin, everybody we're going to have a blast next week. And yeah, like I said, we're going to probably put together our brackets. Combine is going to be, I think we're going to be towards the tail end of it, I believe. So there's so much more that we have coming up for you guys in the next month, and we're super excited. And this was an awesome episode. I love you guys so much. We all love you from CN7 Sports Media, and we will see you guys in episode 6. Peace. Already ended. It's a good thing I'm going to throw this in freaking Premiere because I have to cut out a couple.